Recording in progress. Good morning, Baba and honorable members and colleagues. I'm just checking if my audio is clear. Thank you.
Morning, colleague. I can confirm that this is clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good morning, honorable colleagues. I see online Honorable Letlape, Honorable Nshaba, Honorable Peterson, Honorable Mailola, Honorable Megan Chauke Aduanes, Honorable Tsotetsi. Good morning to you, honorable members. A very good morning to our support team. And a very good morning to Mr. Koza and Ms. Mpondo from the Minister and Deputy Minister's office. You are all very welcome, colleagues, and welcome to everyone following us on the various media platforms. Colleagues, in essence, and good morning as well to Honorable Kanile and Honorable Polwane. Colleagues, in essence, this morning is an admin meeting for us. We will be dealing with the adoption of our BRRR report. We will also give an update, honourable colleagues, on the processes around the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. We will update you with regards to the applications received. We will also give you a brief, colleagues, on the upcoming engagements in Johannesburg and the Eastern Cape, whereafter we will give you an opportunity, colleagues, as per the resolutions that we took at our strat plan session, for you to table some of the constituency issues that you would like referred to other departments or to our own department for action. So with those few words, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Ndumizweni to deal with the agenda, please. And apologies.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to honorable members, colleagues, and everyone present. Chairperson, as the agenda has been flighted, we're gonna start with opening and welcoming, which we have already done. Then we're gonna be adopting the agenda from there for 5 minutes. Then for an hour, that is from 20 to 10 to 20 to 11, we'll be considering and adopting the BRRR report, which will be tabled by Ms. Kashifa Abrahams, the content advisor of the committee. From 20 to 11 to 20 to 12, we'll be considering and adopting minutes and outstanding reports. The committee will also be briefed on the progress made in terms of the engagements in preparation, in fact, pertaining to the stakeholder engagement that will be held in Joburg on the 31st and 1st October, November, then 3rd and 4th in the Eastern Cape of November. Then also be briefing the committee on the National Council of Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, the process and the application. Then from 20 to 12 to 20 to 1, members will be tabling issues, their constituency issues, Chair. That's all for now, Chair, with regards to the agenda. Then coming to apologies, Chair, we have received the apology from the Deputy Minister, who indicated that she won't be able to attend the meeting due to the PC that is currently taking place, and various prior commitments. And also, Honorable Shabang has indicated that she will join the meeting later. There is an unforeseen matter that she's currently attending. That's all, Chair, for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dumizweni. I'm sure we accept those apologies as tabled. Honourable members, please, can I take your hands for a mover of our agenda and a seconder?
Chairperson.
Good morning, Honourable Chauke Aduanes.
Good morning. Apologies for shouting out. I was not able to raise my hand, but I therefore move for the adoption of the agenda and the apologies.
Thank you very much, Honourable Whip. Honourable Kanile.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to you and to all colleagues on the line. I second the move to adopt the agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will move straight then to item around our BRRR, the consideration of our BRRR report. over to you, Ms. Abrams. And may I just say thank you to you and your team for the hard work in preparing that for us.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the honourable members and our colleagues on the platform. Just to extend on what Chair's saying, the BRRR is the work of the committee. Members' inputs have been invaluable, and the report could not have been done without the work of my colleagues, Crystal and Tasneem. Chairperson, the report is substantive. It's very comprehensive and covers all the matters related to the department and the CGE, noting that the National Youth Development Agency, at the time when we considered both reports, had tabled a letter indicating that they'll be submitting late, which the AG explained. What I will be covering, Chairperson, if it's in order, is to highlight the purpose of the report and then move directly to the observations and recommendations. That's particularly important in terms of getting members' input. All the other sections in the report is what we had covered, both in our meetings with the AG, the department, and the CGE. So our report, the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, having considered the annual and financial performance of the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities on 17 October 2025, and the Commission for Gender Equality, let me just correct that, on 14 October 2025, report as follows. As I've indicated, Chairperson and members, we had briefings by the department, the CGE, and as well as the Auditor General of South Africa. And as I've indicated, we did receive a letter which was tabled and forwarded via the speaker coming from the minister, indicating that the NYDA will be tabling late. From our understanding that the audit should be completed by the end of October, so we should be expecting the NYDA to table their annual report, hopefully by the first week of November, but we will keep members informed in that regard. Chairperson, I'll move straight down to our observations and the recommendations. These are substantive in nature as well. General observations, the committee had commended the department and the CGE for tabling on time. We note the concern about the NYDA not having tabled the annual report on time. The department received a clean audit, which is again commendable. They achieved 30 out of 39 targets, which is 77% overall achievement, a slight decrease from the previous financial year. The initial appropriation via Vote 20 for the department was just over R1 billion, with 704.3, which was transferred to the NYDA, and 93.6 million to the CGE. So total transfers amounted to 797 million. The committee also observed that the department's overall budget was increased by 30 million with that MTBPS adjustment, which took the overall appropriation to 1020712 billion. In terms of the department's operating budget, which was 217 million, to be able to undertake its activities to 2024-25. The department spent, in terms of its total budget, 99%, which is just over R1 billion for the 2024-25 financial year. The committee noted that the department spent, in terms of its operating budget, 208 million and had an under expenditure of 9.693 million. The underspending continued in the first quarter of 25-26, and the committee reiterated the concerns in that regard. The majority of the targets met in Programme 1 relates to compliance matters in terms of the development and submission of reports, but the committee remains concerned that it continuously consumed the largest proportion, which is 58% of the department's operational budget, as well as the staff complement. So in program 1, you have 67 staff out of a staff complement of 125 or 125 full posts. The committee noted with concern the department's continued reliance on consultants. So for 2024-25, there were 114 consultants which they use. This is despite having highly paid personnel employed that are expected to deliver on the targets within the core programs. And yet the department also maintains it has inadequate funding. The committee concurred with all the findings and the recommendations of the AG and the ARC. In particular, the committee concurred with the AG that the department should ensure greater emphasis is placed on improving the lived experiences of women, youth, and persons with disabilities through the delivery of its targets as outlined in the APP. And in the last general recommendation, the committee observed that the department had made great strides to implement the AG recommendations and those of the ARC. How we've summarized and reflected the observations and the recommendations is by subheadings and key thematic areas as well as program-specific matters. In terms of the department's mandate, mission, and vision, the committee questioned the department's continued pursuit of particular activities and targets that do not give effect to its mandate, in spite of the committee having raised concerns on numerous occasions with the department. To this end, the committee also questioned the cost-benefit given the limited budget. In terms of impact and outcomes, the committee remains concerned about impact of the department's programs and initiatives and whether the achievement of the targets makes a difference in the lives of women, youth, and persons with disabilities in the country, in spite of having received a clean audit. To this end, the committee indicated it was a similar concern shared by the AG after it having audited the annual report for 24-25. Again, the committee just reiterates the importance of a robust framework for outcome evaluation to ensure accountability of the department's performance. Ms. Chauke Adonis, I think this is something you've reiterated throughout the quarterly report as well, and just emphasize this during our engagement with the department. In terms of policy and law reform, we've observed that there is the National Gender Policy Framework, which was reviewed. However, we still haven't been that policy, the updated one, hasn't been sent to us. And given the slow progress of gender mainstreaming within government, as well as the lack of cooperation and submission of reports by some departments, because of a lack of understanding of what is required, it brings into question whether government departments are aware of this overarching policy. With regards to bills, we note that the Disability Rights Bill, Wage Bill, South African Youth Development Bill, it's long overdue. It's come from the 6th administration. And just reiterating again that despite the update around the South African Youth Development Bill, it still hasn't been tabled. For program 1, the observations were as follows. It happened to achieve 50% of its targets and spend 95% of its budget. It still has the largest staff cohort, 67 posts, and 2 posts were additional to the establishment with 10 vacancies. Some HR matters. As at 31 March, the department had 140 approved posts, of which 125 were filled, resulting in a vacancy rate of 10.7%, which was concerning. The total personnel expenditure incurred was over 125 million, with an average cost per employee of 684,000. The concern with regards to skilled personnel versus lack of capacity, the committee observed that of the 125 posts that were filled, 37 are on senior management, 41 fell within the highly skilled production, 43 were highly skilled supervision category. As such, 84 employees within the department are meant to have the requisite skills to function at a high level, given the employment ranking, to be able to give effect to the department's mandate and to achieve its goals. However, the department maintains that it has a lack of capacity and is reliant on consultants, yet continue to underspend on compensation of employees by not filling vacancies. Furthermore, the committee observed that there were no promotions to another salary level during the period under review, while 90 employees received notch progressions within the salary level at an average cost of just over 10,600 Rand per employee. In terms of the senior management costs, the committee observes for the year under review, senior management constituted 49.2%, which is just over 62 million of the personnel cost, and the highly skilled supervision, which is the levels 9 to 12, amount to 29.2%, just over 36 million. This amounts to nearly 80% of the expenditure of staff. So in other words, the senior management, together with the highly skilled supervision level, those costs incurred amount to 80% of expenditure on staff. In terms of use of consultants, the committee noted with concern the department's continued reliance on consultants to deliver targets within the core programs, despite recommendations by the committee to avoid outsourcing its core business. It spends 80% of personnel expenditure on senior management and highly skilled supervision categories, as we've noted before. That during 24-25, the department used 114 consultants on 64 projects, which came to just over 5 million, which is an increase from the previous financial year, where they had 116 consultants, but on 16 projects only for 3 million. Furthermore, the committee noted with concern that the department used consultants to conduct performance review of staff, a function the committee maintains should be done internally and not outsourced. In addition, the majority of consultancy services related to sign language interpretation, whereas previously the majority of consultancy services related to research or monitoring evaluation projects. Notwithstanding that, there were still 21 projects related to the latter. So in other words, 21 of the projects used by consultants pertain to the core programs. In terms of employment of persons with disabilities, they exceeded the 3% employment target, so they have 7 employees with disabilities. Vacancies, we observed a vacancy rate of 10.7, which was a concern. The target was not achieved, and this was attributed to various reasons, such as the lack of an e-recruitment system. And again, around this particular matter, the committee reiterated the need to move towards the digital era and to automate systems. There were some explanations that were unclear, which related to additional delays caused by dependencies such as unfilled HR posts, which impeded the job analysis process. The concern in this regard by the committee was why the job analysis process caused the delay after the post was advertised, and this surely should have been done before advertising. So therefore, the committee then questioned the appropriateness of the posts advertised if the job specifications were not clearly identified and still required a job analysis. In terms of DC cases, there were 24 grievances were lodged, of which 2 were resolved, and 1 employee was placed on precautionary suspension for 109 days. In terms of financial performance, the underspending was 9.6 for 24-25, and as we reiterated, this continued the underspending in Q1 of 25-26. This is concerning because if they're underspending, it makes it difficult for the committee then to have to lobby for more funding by Treasury, when they're not even being able to spend the allocated budget. In terms of audit findings, the committee observed that there were 5 were cleared, but there were 11 audit findings, while 3 were still in progress and a further 3 were not actioned. And again, what the committee is reiterating, so of the 5 that is cleared out of 11, your target or your audit finding is either met or not met. And the issue about the further still in progress still means it's not met, which means 6 was actually not met. Furthermore, the committee also noted that findings in progress are incomplete and not achieved. The committee notes the CFO's response that the department could not fully address the audit action plan because of the shortages in the strategic management unit, and sought clarity in that regard, as the committee wasn't satisfied with that CFO's response. In terms of under expenditure, just to reiterate again, 9.6 million, it's concerning. It continued into Q1 for rollover. there was a request of 13 million rand rollover, which includes the 5 million request by the CGE. The department is commended for not incurring any irregular expenditure and unauthorized expenditure for the year under review, but notes the historical irregular expenditure. In terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, there was that 451,000, which was due to 2 cases and referred to internal audit for assessment, but we note that the accounting officer statement indicated that there was none. So we still await the outcome from internal audit about that 451,000. For the unauthorized expenditure, there was nothing incurred during 24-25, but historically, 32 million still awaits condonement. For vitamins, it's 10.387 million, and Program 1 benefited the most of receiving an additional 6.537 million. Deviations, the concern there was during 24-25, there were 30 amounting to 12.9 million, whereas in the previous financial year, there was only 15, which amounted to 3.2 million. In addition, the committee notes 7 contract variations and expansions to the value of 790,000. The committee notes with concern the department's inability to forecast appropriately and manage finances more optimally given the limited budget. Of the deviations, 14 were single source appointments and 10 related to obtaining less than 3 quotes for amounts more than 2,000. For contingent liabilities, just to note, member, that the claim of the 7 million against the department in that previous case is still a matter which is long outstanding, and I think it's been for several years. With regards to donor funding, the committee observed the sizable amount of donor funding, which is via the EU and the CARA funding. For the invoices paid within 30 days, the committee noted the department had implemented control measures to prevent the recurrence of non-payment of invoices, but then we saw clarity on what the control measures entailed as the target was still not achieved in this regard. So therefore we questioned, are those control measures actually effective? In terms of investigations and consequent management, just to reiterate the importance of it, to resolve the matters. For supply chain management, the large number of deviations are a cause of concern and points to poor planning. For internal audit, again, the concern regarding the limited human resources in that unit. For the AG and ARC, the committee concurred with the findings and the recommendations. Again, for consequence management, noted the improvement, the outcomes of performance audit. Based on the AG's audit of entities in the portfolio, the committee acknowledged the AG's opinions regarding the impact of the department and the CGE, considering the targets achieved and the budget spent. And I think here the key emphasis again, they're spending the money, achieving targets, but what's the impact on making the difference in the lives and improving the lives of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Again, just to reiterate the AG's concern and indication to us that the NYDA submitted late. We reiterated that and also noted the explanation on the migration from the old to the new system for the NYDA, and that eventually the NYDA reverted back to the older system, and the concern was what were the financial implications. And besides all of that, the committee reiterated there was an interim board, senior management was in place, there was a CFO and a CFO. So again, the late reporting was unacceptable. In terms of the committee noted with concern the report by the AG that they received financial statements and supporting evidence that was not credible. Members requested to be provided the details of misstatements the AG received from the department and the CGE. And then around the GBV rapid response team, that particular target, the AG noted the lack of evidence around the portfolio of evidence. So the committee just raised the concern in that regard. And noted that the department's ability to have impact on women, youth, and disabilities if the portfolio of evidence is then lacking to substantiate what they do. The committee noted that according to the AG, the department wrote to National Treasury to condone the irregular expenditure, and that National Treasury commented by saying the accounting officer had powers to condone it. However, this was not implemented. The committee requested to be furnished with information as to why the accounting officer did not follow through on the recommendations. For the ARC, again, we concurred with the findings and recommendations, noted the comments around the resource constraints in terms of the audit action plan. Again, concurred with the ARC recommendation that the accounting officer develop an audit action plan to resolve the audit findings identified for 24-25. Moving now on to the core programs. So overall, in terms of the department's targets and expenditure, again, they achieved 30 out of 39. The key concern noted by the department was the under expenditure, which is mainly due to vacancies. For the policy and law reform, again, just to reiterate those outstanding bills, the Wage Bill, South African Youth Development, and the Disability Rights Bill, and that we haven't received that reviewed National Gender Policy Framework. For reports, the committee acknowledges the report submitted as evidence of the work achieved for the year under review, but they're still outstanding, and we urge the department to submit this, because without the report, it impedes the committee's ability to do effective oversight, because the reports are a reflection of the outputs the department has done, and that's important for the committee to be able to engage with those reports. For program 2, 89%, 8 of 9 targets. In terms of the interventions to support economic empowerment, 1, the committee commends the department for achieving it, but the committee questions the extent to which these interventions facilitated economic empowerment and job creation for women across the country and its impact on the whole. In addition, the committee highlighted the concern around the gender pay gap, and then to this end, the committee inquired about the actions and efforts of the department to enhance social cohesion and economic participation for the year under review. We asked to be provided with tangible evidence to support in what the department reflected in the annual report, that they did not leave women, youth and persons behind. Specifically in the department's advocacy and economic participation initiatives and programs. In terms of the social empowerment participation, the committee commends the department for achieving the target, but again questioned the impact of these initiatives, and is concerned that the department continues to pursue and fund activities that fall outside of its mandate. For the Sanitary Dignity Program, there were several concerns. The committee then just reiterated and highlighted the findings around the KZN visit and the engagement with all the departments, both at the national and a provincial level. And therefore, we question the impact of the programs in the Eastern Cape and the KwaZulu-Natal, even though the annual report stipulates that it was impactful. In terms of the WASH program, the department did a visit to one school in Hammanskraal, but again just questioned how do they decide on the one school. It seemed to be a random choice. The committee requested the department to provide it with a formula or matrix that they utilize to measure the efficiency of the Sanitary Dignity Program. The committee concern raised pertain to the effectiveness of the department's monitoring and evaluation mechanism when assessing the Sanitary Dignity Program. In terms of this funding modalities, the committee reiterated we were very clear about how this program is funded, but it's the monitoring and evaluation of the department in relation to issues of how this program is implemented, which we reiterated. The committee notes the concerns raised by the CGE pertaining to the Sanitary Dignity Program and queried whether the department had engaged with the Commission to resolve the matter. In terms of the rapid response team, we note that the finding by the AG about the lack of evidence, but again around the rapid response team, they're doing the training around GBV, but again, the committee doesn't the department doesn't have the requisite expertise and personnel and capacity to be able to do that. So it's still unclear what exactly they're training the rapid response team on. For the GBV funding, there's significant donor funding from the EU and CADA, and sought more information on the status of projects and the related funding implications. For the M&E of the National Strategic Plan on GBVF, yes, the committee, commends the department for assessing several national and provincial government departments. But the concern is again about the impact of the interventions, and needing to know what the outcome of those reports are. The same applied to the monitoring and evaluation of the GBVF prevention strategy. For Program 3 around gender mainstreaming, the committee commends the department for the targets achieved in assessing the department on the implementation of the gender responsive planning, monitoring, evaluation, and auditing framework. And like with the monitoring of the NSP, in both instances, the committees noted that the departments that are not performing well, departments that may have not provided information, and needing to understand what the outcomes of those reports are and who are the departments that are defaulting in terms of compliance. For stakeholder engagement, the committee welcomed the department's efforts, but again, question the impact sustainability of the initiatives. For international activities, note the costs incurred for international trips and maintain the cost benefits should be considered and measures implemented to curb costs. For the rights of persons with disabilities, they achieved all the targets, which is commendable. The concern again, which is around the disability rights bill, progress is slow. And again, apologies for that. There we go. In terms of the 3% target, the committee notes concern the slow pace of progress within government to implement the 3% target and reiterates that all government departments and entities meet the employment target for persons with disabilities within the coming financial year. For the 5th program, which is the rights of youth, the concern here was again around that farming and bakery projects, which is led by the SANDF. So the committee questioned whether the target should be redirected in line with the department's mandate and have the focus on the advocacy efforts of the department to lobby for such a project to be taken up by the SANDF. And I think here the emphasis was, we recognize youth unemployment, we recognize the importance of other departments taking up youth and employing them. But for this department, in terms of its mandate, the concern was for 2-3 years in a row, this target wasn't achieved. It should be that the department's target in this regard is advocating and lobbying for the SANDF to take up that particular project, as opposed to the department trying to source the funding to implement, because again, we're not service delivery. Just to reiterate that South African Youth Development Bill hasn't yet been tabled. For observations for the CGE, it was tabled on time, and the improvements and achievements are acknowledged. The committee was concerned that despite targets being met, the implementation and the impact of those targets in communities was not apparent. The committee inquired about the mechanisms the CG implemented to determine the impact and effectiveness of its programs and initiatives, and this monitoring and evaluation mechanism was not apparent. The committee reiterated the importance of establishing such a mechanism to determine whether these programs or initiatives were having the desired effect. In turn, this could then be used to motivate for more funding for the CGE with the supporting evidence. With the Legal Practice Council, again, it's a long-standing matter. We still need clarity, particularly around the panel of legal attorneys, which the CGE was utilizing, the cost incurred, the demographic profile of these attorneys. Now the CGE then allocated work to all these firms. It was a matter that was raised with the CGE before. In terms of human resource, the concern that the target related to the vacancy rate was cited as achieved. However, the actual rate exceeded the target. So there was 16% vacancy rate, 18 vacancies and 16 terminations. And the committee sought the reasons for the staff turnover. We also inquired about the CGE's retention plan and queried how this target was achieved when the vacancy rate far exceeded the target to be achieved per annum. The committee requested clarity on the issue of the official who was assigned to both the provincial and national office. The committee inquired whether this was because of the vacancy rate in the commission. We also noted the 4 researcher and internal audit vacancies and inquired about the implications on operations in this regard. Turning to finances for the CGE, the committee observed in the previous annual report the breakdown of projected allocations and expenditure per strategic outcome was not forthcoming for the 24-25 financial year. The lack of detail in this regard impedes the committee's oversight and is concerning. And this is a matter we've raised with the CGE before. They incurred an over expenditure of just over 2 million. In terms of irregular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. For the year under review, the committee noted with concern for irregular expenditure, that was just over 3 million on the legal panel award. The committee stated that it was unacceptable. We noted the explanation of the CEO that it was an old case dated back to 2018. And the CEO had documents that could be submitted for these amounts to be written off. The committee noted the intentions of the CEO to go to plenary to present a policy that could allow him to write off the irregular expenditure amounts through the National Treasury process. In light of the latter, the committee noted with concern that it's taken the CGE 7 years to develop the stated policy and then sought clarity in that regard. So for the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, just correct this acronym. This amounted to just over 244,000, which was a reduction compared to the previous financial year. However, it was still unacceptable, and the committee queried the reason that led to the expenditure and corrective measures in place to prevent the reoccurrence. The committee also requested details of consequence management pertaining to the irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And the committee noted that there were funds recouped from staff in terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure and sought a report on the names of the commissioners who incurred the fruitless and wasteful expenditure but had not paid the money back. And noted this was of concern. In terms of use of consultants, the CGE spent just over 2 million for the 24-25 financial year. However, as AG raised, the CGE lacked proper internal control capacity. The committee saw clarity in this regard given the lack of capacity identified by the AG. So we note that of this 2.17 million, it was on consultants for internal auditing, yet the AG is saying they lack the capacity in that unit. The committee noted the 5 million expenditure on report writing and printing. In light of that, the committee saw clarity in why there was no internal capacity to do the work. The committee also inquired about the method that was used to calculate the bonuses of the CEO, CFO, and the Public Education and Information Officer. And then finally, the committee inquired whether the CG was receiving additional financial support from other local and international donors besides the Department of Women and Youth and Persons with Disabilities. With respect to commissioners, we note that for the part-time payment of part-time commissioners, we noted the AG's response, and we were pleased that there are now timesheets in place. The committee reiterated the importance of commissioners reporting on how they give effect to their mandate on a quarterly and annual basis, and this in turn provide greater insight for members into the work done in provinces. The committee indicated that in previous annual reports included the performance of commissioners, but this was no longer the practice, as noted in the annual report under review. So the committee saw clarity on how the performance of commissioners was assessed by the chairperson per quarter. And the committee reiterated that the annual report needed to reflect the performance and contributions by commissioners for the year under review. The committee inquired about the reporting procedure in province by commissioners in provinces and successes achieved at that level. We also inquired about the time each commissioner was expected to spend in a province. Noted with concern that certain commissioners were refusing to submit their quarterly report and weekly calendars to the CGE chairperson, and questioned how the performance of commissioners was assessed in the absence of an account of their work. To this end, the committee reiterated the importance of submitting commissioners' work reports on a quarterly basis, as this was an important aspect of the committee's oversight over the CGE. Members inquired whether the reported tensions that existed between staff and commissioners were completely resolved. It was stated that the handbook mandates commissioners to participate in activities like report writing. Members questioned whether this practice continued as it was an important aspect of commissioners' work and expanding the reach of the CGE. In terms of strategic outcome 1, the committee noted the CGE conducted the 3 provincial investigations on Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, KZN, but inquired whether the investigation would be expanded to other provinces. And in terms of the findings, the committee queried whether the findings could infer a national problem or whether it was only confined to the respective provinces noted before. Hence, it was important to establish whether investigations would be conducted in all other provinces. The committee also inquired about the key outcomes of these investigations and whether they would be continued throughout the 7th administration, as this was particularly important. For case management, the Commission provides no insight into the number of cases per province, the nature of cases opened and closed, as well as pending, all of which is crucial. The annual report limits reporting in this regard on complaints handling to bar graphs and a limited narrative explanation. The information has not been forthcoming, which is concerning. This is an area of concern as the issue of pending cases, which is not disclosed in the annual report, will further compound matters. In terms of strategic outcome 2, the committee commends the CGE for the gender mainstreaming sessions conducted. Again, inquired about the mechanisms to determine the effectiveness of public education. The committee questioned around that 42 million reached and how this was determined, and queried lastly if the CGE had started to improve on its visibility by using other government platforms. In terms of strategic outcome 3, the committee commends the CGE for reports developed but remains concerned about the implementation of recommendations emanating from these reports. And then lastly, for the outcomes for CGE in terms of outcome 4, the visibility, again, the concern about the lack of visibility. For the Legal Practice Council, what its standing is. For the use of consultants, it spent 2.1 million. Notes that the CGE utilized consultants for research reports drafting, and observed that approximately 4.9 million was spent on report writing, printing, and publishing, which brings into question whether more than 2.1 million could have been spent on consultants. So with respect to CG and the AG, we note the concerns and the findings and the recommendations of the AG, that it, in particular, was that it took on average 2 years to investigate a matter, that there were 35 investigations that have yet to be undertaken from previous financial years. The AG also highlighted the inaccuracies on performance information, inadequate internal controls, consequence management, and poor record keeping. We also note the AG's recommendation that the CGE's internal control environment should be assessed in terms of resources, capacity, roles, and responsibility, and that the committee acknowledged the AG's concern that the internal audit has been inundated and consumed with having to undertake investigations for which they do not have the capacity and should instead be focused on implementing their core business. The committee queried the impact of the work done by the CGE, again, as reiterated by the AG in terms of impacting the lives of women, youth, and persons with disabilities. The committee noted with concern the 900 million rand irregular expenditure dispute between the department and AG and requested an update on the outcome in this regard. The concern was also required that the CGE required a post-audit correction on performance targets and questioned how this can be improved to ensure that reporting on the CGE was credible for the next financial year, 25-26. And then for consequence management, the concern about the lack of consequence management that was not implemented in the CGE was a recurring theme and question whether that could be a major contributor to ongoing irregular expenditure. That 7.3 million was the financial loss on fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and that investigations took an average of 2 years to complete. The committee requested information on the outstanding cases, by when these would be finalized, and the timeframes for the financial recoveries to be concluded. For the commissioners, on the issue of commissioners, the committee highlighted that during the COVID 2019 pandemic, there was that matter that related to the payment of commissioners and timesheets. So in this end, the committee inquired whether the AG could assist in terms of the assessment of the performance of commissioners, and we'll be embarking on a process for the appointment of new commissioners. For audit findings, for the 23-24 financial year, the AG issued 43 audit findings, 96% was resolved by March 2025, and 4 were in progress, yet there are 37 new findings for 24-25 financial year. The committee inquired whether the CGE regarded that as progress or regression, and then the committee requested the reason that led to the 37 new findings. For the CGE's observations by the committee around the ARC, they congratulated the CGE for the opinion presented by the AG on the annual financial statements for the year ending. The committee notes the ARC's recommendation for the urgent need to strengthen internal verification process undertaken during the quarter, reporting on performance information. This is also in relation to the AG detecting an underachievement on one performance indicator, which was not identified by the internal verification process during the reporting period. We also note the ARC's recommendation that the accounting officer must improve the verification procedures in the institution to ensure that all accountability documents are credible and pass the audit tests. We also note some of the findings the committee had during the quarter review process. The committee notes the ARC's further reports the progress has been in establishing internal controls over risk management systems and processes. We also note, however, that monitoring on the implementation of these control measures needs enhancement. The committee notes that the ARC has considered the reports of the AG for the financial year 31 March and agrees with the conclusions made. Specifically, as for the NYDA, we note the concern is that they have not tabled. We note the explanation by the AG, but reiterate that they did have a CEO, CFO, and interim board in place. And that the AG said they will revert back to us about the cost incurred for reverting back to the old system. Moving on to recommendations. These have been split between the department, CGE, and Treasury. The department should submit a list of government departments who have not adhered to reporting requirements as requested by the department. Targets must continue to be monitored and align with key government priorities ensured. The department must work collaboratively with other departments and entities where possible, given the financial constraints and fiscal environment. All outstanding reports, policies and framework must be submitted. It must confine its programs and activities in accordance with its mandate in order to utilize its funds optimally. It should consider developing a dashboard to track the progress of other departments insofar as compliance with policies developed by the department related to women and youth and persons with disabilities. For the audit action plan, It should submit an audit action plan and ensure reflection on unmet findings from the previous financial year by 30th of November and report at the next quarterly report briefing. The department should clearly articulate how it intends addressing each of the findings. The AG and ARC recommendations should be implemented, and officials having not complied in this regard must be held accountable. For the financial performance, again, to continue with in-year monitoring report, that spending trends be monitored on an annual basis, and the department to report accordingly to the committee, that the APP is costed appropriately, the clear indication of how it intends undertaking activities and corresponding costs, and what measures will be implemented to capacitate the development and develop the current workforce in a bid to avoid using consultants. So this particular recommendation came from the committee saying we do not want continued reliance on consultants, and the next APP, which is 26-27, the department should clearly indicate how they're going to address that matter. For irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, again, the department is just requested to keep the committee abreast in that regard, and particularly around condonement matters as well. For deviations, it's urged to improve financial planning to avoid this. For donor funds, to provide a comprehensive report on all donor funds by stipulating the purpose, funding allocation and the requirements. Quarterly reports should be submitted on donor expenditure, and then we must be updated on as to the current status of the EU-funded project and the implications for funding for 25-26 if the project is not completed. For the ARC, should monitor the department's adherence to implementation of the recommendations. With respect to HR, vacancies should be filled, and the department should clearly identify within the quarterly report to the committee reasons for failure to comply and remedial action, and also to keep us updated with a list of vacancies. Performance management. The committee recommends that the heads of program provide quarterly reports of consequence management for the non-delivery of targets with a clear indication as to the remedial action implemented. For the use of consultants, this must review its continued reliance on consultants, report back to the committee on how transfer skills is enabled to department officials. And again, as we noted before, this should be articulated in the next APP. For DC cases and investigations, the department should submit a comprehensive report on all cases in the department and brief the committee accordingly on a quarterly basis. For governance, the committee reiterates the importance of compliance with the PFMA national treasury regulations, and that if the failure of officials in that regard must be dealt with expeditiously, and that the department reports on how it deals with these transgressors. For investigations, the department to brief the committee at the Q2 briefing to 25-26 on how far it has dealt with investigations and provide a progress report in that regard. For performance-related recommendations, just again in terms of the SMART principle, reiterating that their targets need to be SMART, and that it should avoid having to amend its APP the latter half of the financial year. With respect to national gender machineries, youth machinery, disability machineries, and GEOD machinery, the NGM is an important mechanism for stakeholder engagement, as espoused in CEDAW, and it should be kept abreast of these activities as well as for the rest of the machineries. For treaty compliance frameworks and timeframes, that country reports are submitted within the specified timeframes as required by the relevant bodies, that all country reports during the reporting review under review should be sent to the committee for consideration, along with the concluding observations and the plan of action in that regard. The department should report back to Parliament on feedback received, and that all reports at an international level to be submitted to the committee at least 1 month before that international trip is taken. Just generally in terms of reports, that the department brief the committee on the reports completed for 24-25 and submit any outstanding. And that once the report is completed, it should be submitted at least 1 month after completion. In terms of legislative and policy reform, the committee urges the department to finalize all outstanding policies and frameworks and then brief the committee on these on a quarterly basis. For GBVF and the NSP, the department provide quarterly updates on the implementation of both the NSP and the prevention strategy, to submit M&E report on the implementation and brief the committee accordingly. And the department is urged to monitor all government departments and entities on a quarterly basis and not just limited to a few. In terms of the rapid response team, the department to submit a comprehensive report on the training and capacity building of all rapid response teams undertaken during the 24-25 financial year as well as the current financial year. For the Sanitary Dignity Program, the committee urges the department to reinstate a specific target focus on monitoring and evaluation of the Sanitary Dignity Program, and that the department provides a comprehensive assessment of the implementation of this program for the 6th administration, as well as 24-25 and 25-26 financial years, and report within 2 months of the publication of this report. For the rights of persons with disabilities, the department should brief the committee on the reports produced for 24-25 and should expedite the development of the Disability Rights Bill. For youth, it should again, as with the disability program, brief the committee on the reports for the 24-25 financial year and expedite the development of the South African Youth Development Bill. For the CGE, in terms of finance, the CGE should develop an audit action plan that relates to the recommendations by the AG. This action plan should address the root cause of the problems and reflect the AG and ARC recommendations. It must be submitted to the committee by 30th of November. The CGE should provide quarterly progress on report on the implementation of its audit action plan. Audit outcomes, that CGE and AG should resolve issues of the audit outcomes emanating from 24-25. The CGE should ensure that it maintains tight control of its fiscus and avoid over and under expenditure for the 25-26 financial year and beyond. With respect to irregular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful, the CGE to continue reporting on investigations related to that and mitigating actions and consequence management implemented at every quarterly report briefing. For financial reporting, the CGE must report on an annual and quarterly basis its expenditure per strategic objective in order for the committee to conduct more astute oversight. The CGE to submit monthly reports to the committee on key matters of concern and progress year 2. For consultants, the CGE should submit a detailed report on the issue of consultants for the year under review. It should continue to table reports timelessly for consideration by the committee. In terms of investigations into and consequence management for irregular and fruitless wasteful expenditure must be prioritized, and the CGE to report quarterly on the outcome of these investigations. The CGE to submit a report on international domestic travels, clearly indicating cost incurred, the nature of expenditure, purpose of trip, and number of officials, etc. The CGE to submit a report on fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Let me just swap this. Excuse me, members. So in this recommendation, that the report about the fruitless and wasteful expenditure incurred by commissioners and how they're going to recoup the money and the progress in this regard. And then the CGE to submit a report of the legal cost incurred by the commission for the financial years 22-23 to 24-25, as well as 25-26 and to date. The report should detail the cost, the legal firm, the duration, and the nature of the case. In terms of recommendations pertaining to commissioners, they continue to report on a quarterly and annual basis to the committee on their deliverables in line with each strategic outcome as per the APP. The CGE is to submit a report on commissioners who refuse to submit weekly calendars and quarterly reports. For the governance model, under governance, for the business model, that the CGE to be invited to present the business model to the committee at a time to be communicated. For the Legal Practice Council, the CGE to keep the committee abreast of its legal standing insofar as the amendment of the Legal Practice Act is concerned. In terms of program performance, it must prioritize the filling of vacancies. It should improve on its complaints handling processes and ensure that it is reintroduced as a target within the next APP. The CGE to submit a report on the number of cases opened, closed, and rolled over to the next financial year, as well as the nature of cases per province. The CGE must continue working on monitoring of courts, NPA SAPs, and Tutuzela care centres as it relates to gender-based violence issues. This includes finalising all monitoring tools and ensuring that all commissioners have annual and quarterly targets to fulfil in this regard. The CGE should use all languages, including the use of sign language, to communicate with the community. The CGE should ensure that issues related to gender mainstream be placed in the office of the Speaker within municipalities to ensure that they hold municipalities accountable for implementing programs of the CGE. And then for vacancies, the CGE is urged to fill all funded vacancies and report to the committee on a quarterly basis in this regard. For the NYDA, it should ensure that it tables the annual report and brief the committee accordingly. For the Minister of Finance, National Treasury, the committee requests National Treasury to reassess the funding allocation to the department and the CGE to optimally implement its respective mandates. For the AG should monitor and evaluate the implementation of mitigating strategies and tracking of resolutions by the key persons responsible actioning these. It should provide a report to the committee on the unresolved matter related to the CGE, to provide an assessment or audit report of the Commissioner's work performance insofar as timesheets provided to account for hours worked. The AG should provide a report to the committee on the outcome of the NYDA once completed and the report is tabled. The AG to report to the committee on the costs incurred by the NYDA for forfeiting its financial system, having reverted back to the former system. Number 17, Chairperson and members, is just a table of our reporting request, just indicating what the reporting matter is, the action and the time frame. And then in conclusion, the committee affirms the important role of the department, the NYDA and CGE, and maintains it will continue to conduct oversight of these entities to ensure the implementation of recommendations made by the AG as well as the ARC. The committee reiterates that the portfolio has a key responsibility to ensure that through the targets set that the lived experiences of women, youth, and persons with disabilities in the country are improved. Thank you, Chairperson and members. That concludes the BRRR for 2025.
Thank you very much, Kashifa, Ms. Abrams, for that document and for taking us through the BRRR. I would like to see whether honourable members would like to make any further inputs, ask questions, give any feedback. I will take any hands. Honourable Tsotetsi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. I think the report is capturing what the committee has been doing quite correctly. I just have one issue which has been raised. I don't think that it was thoroughly amplified in the report regarding the CGE. You'll remember that when we met them, the Auditor General raised concerns about their legal panel, and they too would have explained the difficulties of moving away from the modality of how they are doing it, because they would have said that the issue was mainly around their use of specialists on matters that requires knowledge of a particular aspect of the law. Now, we would have said that they must find a way to find synergy between what the AG says and what they are saying is a difficulty. But what informs that synergy is actually found in the provision of the PFMA as a tool used by the AG to audit them. So we're in a way giving them an instruction to say that it's of no use for you to raise dispute on how the AG wants you to operate. So do what the AG is saying you must do, and find a way to operate with such. So that's what we said, Chair, as it relates to the panels of the CGE, the law firm panels of the CGE. That causes them a regular expenditure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Tsotetsi. Can we formulate?
You see my hand, Chair?
Oh, yes, no, of course. Okay, we will take the hand of Honourable Polwane, followed by Honourable Mchunu, followed by Honourable Chauke Adonis. But let's work on formulating a one recommendation in line with what Honourable Tsotetsi had just inputted to the meeting, please. Honourable Polwane.
Thank you very much. Let me join my colleague by welcoming the report or the presentation. Unfortunately, I was having the challenge of network. I was coming in and out. Is the BRRR, ne? Chair?
Yes, ma'am. It is BRRR now.
Yes, I found it in the middle. Chair, I've got only a few questions on this one. My first question is, why are the empowerment program unimplemented? And the next one, in terms of the implementation of the reporting, why what systematic changing will the Department of Women, Youth, Persons with Disability implementing timelessly relying on reporting service delivery indicate? And then the last one is why are the how is the leadership accountable enforcing when the financial misconduct, mismanagement? Okay, it's only this one.
Thank you so much, Honourable Polwane. Honourable Mchunu.
Ngiyabonga mhlonishwa.
Ngiyabonga.
Good morning to you, Chair, and everyone in the meeting. Please excuse my voice. I had a flu, a very bad one, but I'm getting there now. As the Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, it must be noted that we reserve our comment on this BRRR report at hand. Thank you, Chair.
No problem, Klonishwa. We will note your reservation. You will tell us when we go to the House, but we'll make that note.
Thank you.
We're including it. Honourable Mbiko.
Good morning, team. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, everyone who's on the platform. Mine is just a word of appreciation of this report. It is well detailed, well documented, well articulated. I'm very, very impressed. Except that I just want to, I would like to know the kind of programs like the WASH programs. What does the program entail? And would it be, if if it would be possible, would it be spread across maybe to those provinces? For instance, my province as the Eastern Cape, I'm sure we can benefit a lot from that program. And also the sanitary dignity program, I so wish that it could also be spread across the provinces. Again, from my own province, that is the Eastern Cape, because it's a rural province, and our girls are still struggling there with these kinds of obtaining or buying this kind of sanitary wear. Otherwise, generally, the report is well detailed, and that's all what I can say now. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mbiko. Honourable Chauke Aduenes. Ms. Abrams, I'm wondering, while we wait for Honourable Chauke Aduenes to come onto the platform, whether the resolution that we can propose following the inputs and contributions from the Honourable Tsotetsi would be that we make a recommendation that the CGE should comply with guidelines provided by the AG as it pertains to service providers. Or we can strengthen it, but I also found that when they were giving us responses, it was almost like they were questioning or they were disagreeing with some of the findings or the guidance that the AG were giving them. It was almost like they were counteracting everything that they were getting from the AG, which was problematic in my view. So it was almost like the AG said X, Y, and Z, and they disagree. And I don't think that is helpful. So maybe that recommendation will assist, but we will hear from Honourable Tsotetsi if he's happy with that.
Chair, I am on the platform, if I may.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Apologies, I was
proceed.
struggling to unmute myself. Thank you very much, Chairperson. And I would like to also just echo the sentiments of the fellow colleagues on the platform that we do appreciate the report that has been given and tabled before us. I think, Chairperson, before I ask my questions or make my inputs in terms of this report, I think what is important, and I hear the Mkhonto Wesizwe political party saying that they reject the report. I think what is important is for them in this portfolio committee to indicate why they are rejecting the report, because this is a report of the portfolio committee, not of a particular department. And I don't think we're at the platform where we're saying, members, are you rejecting or are you adopting? And I think we must have that practice in place.
Honourable Chauke Aduenes, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, ma'am. Let me just say they have not said they're rejecting the report. They said they reserve their right to tell us at a later stage whether they are, yes, because they will take that report back to their caucus and then consult with their leadership.
Thank you very much.
But I'm pretty sure that they'll come back and say that they're in support, because I think good work is being done. But no, they have not rejected it.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much for clarifying me on that. I thought there was already a rejection, and it is a committee report that's going out. Chair, I think one of the things that has already been alluded to is the AG findings for these institutions that are falling under the department, and what resolutions have been taken to consider the implementation or the enforcement of the recommendations that have been made through the audit findings. And I think that must be quite strengthened, even as we speak in our report presented, to say that what is the expectation of not only the department, CGE, NYDA, in order for them to take into consideration the recommendations that have been made through the AG report, but also coming from the portfolio committee. Also with this, Chair, I think one of the things that I'm quite concerned about is the targets that have not been met when it comes to the youth development through the department or the program that falls under youth development. How do we then, in this particular report, speak towards a recommendation that says there should be clear synergy between the department and NYDA, understanding that NYDA is an arm of the department, and therefore even the targets that have been set by the department when it comes to youth development, there should be some sort of cross correspondence that takes place with the NYDA in order for them to meet those particular targets. And my other question, Chairperson, what we should be also stating in our report is to say on ensuring that the internal audit, when it is taking place, is able to foresee future or sort of risk mitigation that might come out of audit reports that might come. Therefore, they'll be able to also restructure their planning and reevaluate their APPs and their targets before it gets to the point of the audit finding. So rather interventions take place than wait for audit findings to then come out that are unpleasant. But also appreciating that they got a clean audit. That is appreciated, but it also is not something that we're able to see tangibly in terms of the work. Now, the last question, Chairperson, would be in terms of legislation. I think as part of our BRRR report here, we should be also speaking at a legislative point to say what is the plan of the department and these entities such as CGE and NYDA, in terms of ensuring that we speak from legislation to implementation, and what matrix are they utilizing to track the implementation of those particular legislations and policies, because I think there seems to be a disconnect between the legislations and the policies, the implementation, and actually what the department on the relevant legislations and policies that are aligned with the work of the department. And I think that should be clearly stated, that this is part of the recommendations that we're making, that we need regular reports on how they are ensuring that these accountable have identified as focused target areas. Obviously, the portfolio committee will then make an input. And I also do support that it was said in the recommendation that the department must regularly report, especially when they are going on international travels, in order for us to understand what it is that they are seeking to achieve through this travel. But not only the department, I think this also goes for CGE and NYDA, but also appreciating that CGE is a Chapter 9 institution, but we must also be conscious that it is receiving funding and resources from the state and from this particular department, and therefore there needs to be accountability and be proper roadmap planning in order for us to really understand how money is being utilized by officials and executives. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chauke Aduenes. Okay, so we have added at the end, we've added that MK reserves their right that they reserve their right on this report in respect of the 2025 BRRR. We have added at the top the item on the AG and the CGE. Let's see here. The CGE to comply with the recommendations as proposed by the Auditor General South Africa, clearly articulate this in the audit action plan and report back to the committee on a quarterly basis in this regard. And then we've added the collaboration between the NYDA and the department as an additional item. Honourable Tsotetsi, I wonder if you are happy with that recommendation or you want to further expand on it.
No, Chair, I wanted to, I think it's okay, except the fact that I would have wanted it to address a particular issue which has been raised as a bone of contention. But if we cannot get it clear as it was presented, I think that the manner in which the recommendation is structured to a large extent covers what we want to say.
Okay, we can still see how we can refine it after the meeting. That's no problem. Okay, colleagues, can I please ask that we move for the adoption if you are happy with those amendments and further amendments? Would anybody be willing? Yes,
Chairperson,
yes, Ms. Abrams.
Can we just get, if Chairperson could, the proposal by Ms. Chake join us about this particular recommendation, the department to collaborate with the NYDA to facilitate the implementation of youth projects led by the SANDF. Is that adequate or should it be amended? If we can get advice, please, Chair.
Honourable Whip.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think I am happy with that particular extension. And I think if what we can do is just further elaborate on the youth collaboration on the youth targets as well. So the way it has been placed right now, I am satisfied just to further elaborate so that it also touches other youth initiative programs or pillars that are within the department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Honourable Tsotetsi and Honourable Chake Aduenas if there's anything that you would still like to add or refine in terms of these recommendations. Just submit them to Ms. Abrams after the meeting. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask that we move for the adoption with amendments. And please take your hands in that regard. Honourable Chake Aduenas.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I hereby move for the adoption of the recommendations with the amendments.
Thank you very much, Honourable Whip. I'll take a seconder, please.
My hand is up, Chair.
Oh, I thought it was a legacy ad, Honourable Tsotetsi. Thank you. Please proceed.
It was, and it got a renewal.
Okay,
Oh,
you renewed
yes.
its membership. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I second the adoption of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Colleagues, that is it for our BRRR report. And thank you again. I want to echo the sentiments of Honourable Mbiko and Honourable Chake Aduenas and Honourable Tsotetsi that we thank our team very much for the hard work that's gone into the document. It's definitely a document that reflects our discussions, our concerns and our recommendations. So thank you very much for that. Ms. Ndumizweni, I'm going to ask you just to quickly update the Portfolio Committee on how many applications we have received so far in terms of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide application process.
Thank you, Chair. So far, Chair, we have received 197 online applications. Then we've received one application that was sent via the post, or that was couriered. Then we've got 89 emails that have been received, which we still have to go back, Chair, and check if they are applications, as I indicated before, that some of the people are just writing things that are not in line with the applications, but that those are the records that we have, Chair. then the verification, further verification will be done in due course, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, just a reminder then that the applications are closing on the 7th of November. So we really want you to please make available again the advertisement to your constituency, to your WhatsApp groups, your caucuses. Just continue to spread that advertisement so that we can get as many eyes on it as possible. The next item will then be our minutes and reports. If you can lead us on that, Mr. Dumizweni.
Okay, Chair, thanks. Yolanda will lead us for September minutes and reports. Then I'll take over, Chair, and lead the October minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, in front of you, we've got draft minutes for a meeting that was held on the 2nd of September at M46. We were meeting with the new NYDA team. The members present are listed. If members read through the minutes, can I take someone to please move for the adoption and a seconder? Honorable Kanile.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Kanile. Can I take a seconder, please? Honorable Peterson.
Chairperson.
I'll come back to you, Honorable Peterson.
Thank you so much, Chair. I second.
Thank you so much, Honorable Peterson. Let's just move up, please. Okay, this was a set of minutes dealing with a quarterly report of our department. Our meeting was held on the 9th of September on the virtual platform. Attendance as listed. Please can I check if you have read the minutes, whether I can take someone to adopt the minutes and a seconder? Honorable Chauke Aduenas.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Whip. Can I take a seconder, please? Honorable Kanile.
Thank you, Chair. I second the adoption.
Thank you so much. Okay, we can go to the next set, please. Okay, please scroll up, Yolanda. Okay, this is a set of minutes from the 16th of September, 9:30, held on the virtual platform. We met with the legal advisors on the outcomes of a proposed committee bill. We received a briefing from Prof. Bola Miller, the head of the delegation of the W1020. We had a briefing by Ms. Numalo on syndicates involving financial and emotional crippling of working women. We've got the attendance as listed. If members are happy, I will ask for a mover and a seconder, please. Honorable Polwane.
Yes, Chair, I move for adoption of the minutes.
Thank you so much. Honorable Mai Lola was present. Would you like to second? Honorable Kanile.
Thank you, Chair. I second the adoption.
Thank you so much. Let's move to the next set. We've got a set of minutes from the 19th of September, which was held on the virtual platform. We dealt with our strategic plan and our committee APP, and we adopted minutes. This was a short meeting. The attendance is listed. Please, can I take a mover and a seconder?
Chair, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Polwane. Thank you very much, Honorable Mbiko.
I hereby second.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
We'll take the next set. Welcome to Honorable Adams and welcome to Honorable Shabango. Here we've got a report, draft report of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities on the second, third and fourth quarter report, performance and expenditure report for the department, for the National Youth Development Agency, dated 2nd of September. I'm sure members have been able to go through the report. If members are happy with the content of the report, I will take a mover and a seconder. Honorable Polwane.
Yes, Chair, I move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much, Mhlonishwa. Honorable Chauke Adwenes.
I second the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else? Okay, and this is the draft report of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities on the fourth quarterly performance and expenditure report for 2024-2025 and the first quarterly performance and expenditure report for 2025-2026 of the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities dated 9 September. I'm sure everybody has had the opportunity to go through the report. I now ask for a mover and a seconder. Honorable Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Kanyile. Any other member, please?
Chairperson,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to second the adoption.
Thank you very much. Next document.
Thank you, Chair. Mine, the September ones have been done, Chair. Mbaba can move to his October minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Silly. Colleagues, in front of you is the draft minutes for the Portfolio Committee meeting that was held on the 7th of October. We dealt with the Auditor General on outcomes for 2024-2025 financial year for the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Commission for Gender. There's a mistake here, must say Gender Equality, and National Youth Development Agency. In fact, let us park these October minutes. Let me just go back to the October minutes, because also technically, I'm not sure whether we should include National Youth Development Agency here because we didn't consider it. So let's just park the October minutes. We can come back to those. Colleagues, then in terms of the items, the item of our Joburg, East London, Parliamentary, stakeholder engagement, and inquiry on statutory rape. I wanted to just inform members, and I will ask our support team if they want to add anything once I'm done. But I want to inform you that you will be receiving your SMSs with your travel information today. Thank you very much to everyone that has availed themselves to go to Johannesburg and East London. We are a full committee that will be traveling, apart from one member. Colleagues, on Thursday, we will be joining the minister at a G20 event. The G20 event will focus on positive masculinity. We will be sharing all the documents for the event, but the event will start at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. There will be a opening ceremony or opening remarks by the Deputy Minister. This will be followed by remarks by the Premier of Gauteng. This will be followed by various messages of support. I see on the program there is remarks by His Majesty King Misizulu Kazwelithini, followed by a keynote address by our Honourable Minister. From there will be a high-level roundtable discussion on positive masculinities. We have nominated Dr. Lehlape to represent the Portfolio Committee in this discussion. From there will be a ministerial lunch. I'm not quite sure if we are invited to the ministerial lunch, but it's a roundtable on HIV/AIDS. And then from there are panel sessions. One will be on education, one will be on transforming workplaces, and one will be on culture, faith, and custodianship. From there, honourable members, we will make sure that you are able to depart by 2 o'clock from that venue so that you can log into the question and answer session on Thursday, which is the questions to the Deputy President. On Thursday and Friday, we've got 2 full days engaging with stakeholders at the Premier Hotel. We've got the city of Ekurhuleni joining us. We've got the city of Johannesburg joining us. We've got the NPA joining us, various NGOs and other stakeholders, child welfare organizations, and others. In the Eastern Cape, we've got confirmation of traditional leaders, Amakosi, that will be joining us, the Eastern Cape Basic Education Department, and others. Sunday will be a traveling day down to the Eastern Cape. But as you check into the Premier Hotel tomorrow, you'll be given your packs with the program information, the information on the G20 event. You'll also be given information around the various stakeholders that we'll be engaging with. So you'll get your program for the few days that we are away. So I just wanted to give you that information so that you've got a little bit more information about who will be engaging and what we'll be doing over the next couple of days. Is there anything that you would like to add, Mr. Dumizweni, Ms. Abrams, Ms. Silly?
Thanks, Chair. So far there's nothing, Chair, to add except, in fact, I will add some few things that our applications, both the funding and the political application, have been approved, and that enables us to travel to Joburg. Some of the members and staff will be leaving on Wednesday, and others will be leaving on Thursday morning. So what I wanted to highlight here is that we've sent purchase orders for accommodation, which is Premier Hotel. We are using the travel agent, so they haven't indicated any negative thing in terms of the hotel not being available. So we attempted to confirm that we're using Premier Hotel, and members will receive during the course of the day their vouchers, that is flight vouchers, including accommodation. I think, Chair, for now, that's all. Then the program, Chair, final program will be sent. There is a program, but then we'll send it to you for approval. It will be sent to members. I think it will form part of the packs, which I think it will be sent before the close of business today. Those are just few things, Chair, that I wanted to add under this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dumisweni. Yes, we'll obviously finalize the program and make sure that as members check in, whether it is on Wednesday or Thursday, that they get the terms of reference for the stakeholder engagement and inquiry, the program and the information about the G20 conference. I want to just, while the PLOs are here, Mr. Koza and Ms. Mpondo, we want to thank the Minister and Deputy Minister for extending the invitation to us to attend this conference, and we're sure that we will be learning a lot because the program does look not only full, but it does look like we will be able to learn from other countries on best practices. So we are grateful that we'll be able to attend. The last item, honourable members, is our constituency matters. I'm going to hand back to Mr. Dumisweni. I know that Ms. Kanyile has brought one person from her constituency that will be making a presentation as well. But I think for an introduction, Mvabe, you can give us an overview of the items that have been referred to you and how we will deal with that going forward, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. We have received constituency matters from different members. That includes you, Honorable Mbiko, Honorable Kanyile, Honorable Mchunu, and Honorable Chauga Adonis. Chair, fortunately, the department is part of our meeting, so we are going to just briefly highlight these constituency matters, which we will, after the meeting, create a form whereby we're going to consolidate and put them in one document in a meaningful manner, and then send them to the department for further processing. It can be implementation and all that stuff. Then the department will be expected to give a feedback in our meeting during the end of November or early December. They will be invited to come and brief the committee on the progress made pertaining to these constituency matters. The first one, Chair, was referred to you by the community leader or the leader of 5P, Mr. Benny Pillay, from Ward 69. The real issue in this one pertains to the lack of provision of safe houses for women and young girls who become victims of rape, assault, emotional abuse, and GBV in general. So the concerned leader is requesting the intervention from the relevant ministers, ministries, and departments. Like I said, Chair, the matter will be referred to the department so that it can be dealt with. Another issue, Chair, that was referred to you, it was referred by Mr. Tubeli Hlengwenya Ntshangase on behalf of Bamboo Lalies Pty Ltd. It relates to the NYDA funding. This is a youth initiative, Chair, that seeks to empower youth people from disadvantaged communities. They are requesting financial support or funding support from the National Development Agency. The purpose is to strengthen their operations, provide training materials and equipment, and also subsidize training and be subsidized on the basis of training costs to ensure affordability and inclusivity. Then I will skip the Honorable Kanyile's one because I believe Ms. Mbuli is part of our meeting, therefore she will present. We also received constituency matters that were referred by Honorable Mbiko. One was referred to Honorable Mbiko by Mr. Mtutuze Likondila, who is living with disabilities and unemployed, while he's in possession of various certificate. So my reading is that the request, or in fact what he requires, is assistance in terms of employment and also be given chances maybe to start businesses. Fortunately, Honorable Mbiko is here, she will elaborate. And then there's also one from Ms. Noma Wabo Khamngana, who's living with a disability. She's blind, she's in need of a walking stick. There's also old women. She raised concerns about the old women who are living alone at their homes, and also victims of rape. And according to the information she provided, is that the offenders or perpetrators in these cases, in most cases, are young men. Therefore, the relevant department must look at this matter and bring interventions. Another one is from Ms. Ketamile, a 7-year-old woman who's living with a disability of being deaf. From Aidutwa, Ms. Ketamile and other elderly women have been waiting for their land claims payout since 2011. The Department of Rural Development and Land Reform has kept telling them to resubmit claim forms and all the documents, including the bank accounts, which they consistently been opening, but there have been no payments that have been made. This claim has been there since 2011. And the last one, in terms of, in fact, from Honorable Mbiko, is Miss Nomanyano Chwambi, a 40-year-old woman from Nandi Village in Willowvale, Eastern Cape. She reported the issue pertaining or regarding, or that relates to the pension payout issue between herself and the Department of Education. She stated that they were promised that there's going to be redress in terms of their pension fund payouts, and that has never happened. And by the look of things, she has tried to address the matter with the department, but to no success, and therefore she decided to escalate the matter by bring it before the attention of the committee. Then Honorable Mkhunu also submitted that there is an issue of Ms. Thandegan Ndlovu, who's 22-year-old university student living with a disability. The challenge is that she struggled to access a home due to disability. The landscape and everything is not conducive. Therefore, she needs assistance. She also raised the issue of escalating GBV crisis in South Africa, stating that there is a case of a 17-year-old Ata Mthembu who has been kidnapped. So they want justice for that. In fact, they want the police to do their work. There's also a matter of a woman from Marian Hill in Durban who has been missing for 3 months. She was seen in the company of her boyfriend. A SAPS intervention and that of the committee is requested here. And there's also an issue of the Dlamini twins. I wouldn't love to mention the names due to age. Dlamini twins, who are 8 years of age, who fell down the shaft in Durban, the lift shaft in Durban. One of them is in fact, tragically died, and the other is in a coma fighting for her life in hospital. So basically they want justice and they want the departments to attend to this matter. Then, as the Secretariat Chair, we've been consistently been receiving issues from Ms. Vyokazi Ntsindo from Ward 8 in Elliotdale and Mpasha local municipality in the Eastern Cape. She claims to be living with disabilities, with no formal education. She intends to start an organization that would assist people with disabilities. She's currently living in a one-room with no basic services like water, electricity, and toilets, etc. So, Chair, she's been trying to report the matter to the ward councillor, but the ward councillor is the one who seems to be ill-treating or giving some sort of a fun treatment to the woman. So she brought that to the attention of the committee. It will be sent to the department. Then Honorable Chauke Adonis this morning submitted hers, which focuses on the high rates of statutory rape cases in the Eastern Cape. It happens in the following regions: OR Tambo, Amatole, Jogabi, Sarabadman, Alfred Nzo, Buffalo City District Metropolitan, and also the Nelson Mandela. So she wants this to be attended to. So from my side, Chair, that's all. As you indicated, before, I think you indicated that members will add where they feel like there are some areas that have been omitted or that have been left behind. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dumisweni, for that comprehensive report. And thank you very much to honourable members who submitted their issues. Of course, this is our first meeting of this kind, so it will be a learning curve. And we will refine how we do this going forward. But I think for now, Honourable Kanile is going to be the last speaker because she's got a person of her constituency that will present, somebody that she will be allowing to give us some inputs on issues. So I'm going to see if anybody else would like to add to the document. Honourable Peterson.
Thank you
Chairperson,
so much.
you'll also recognize me. Sorry, I'm unable to unmute to raise my hand as well. Sorry, Honorable Jasmine. You may proceed.
Okay, Honourable Peterson, followed by Honourable Chauke Adonis, and Honourable Kanile will be the last person.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Greetings to everybody. Chairperson, I'd just like to add that from my side, something that we should also look into is like adequate support from social workers in communities, be it like in the community itself with women or children going through going through abuse or like just needing support from social workers, be it just in the community or in the school or in schools. Having seen what happened at the Malderton school just the other day, I think that's something that we should look into honestly, because we might just think that that was just exposed from that school, but then there's other schools that also go through these things, and children actually need the support from the social workers. Second to that, I'd also like to echo the sentiments of the safe houses for women and children, and then also just support the input about the Dlamini twins. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable Peterson. Yes, I did see yesterday on the TV that there was a collaboration between various political parties who actually went and supported the father. I think today the actual footage of the incident should be handed over to him, but we'll continue to follow that issue. On the issue of social workers, I think it's very important as well, Honourable Peterson. We know that women and youth and persons with disabilities who are struggling in our communities do need access to social workers, and they often don't find that assistance. So I know you've got a specific issue in your community that you flagged with me around children who were in need of assistance. So you can just forward that details to us. Honourable Chauke Adonis.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I was just struggling again with my devices. Chairperson, on my side, what I would like to add was I will be making more submissions. Obviously, that will be directly focused on also individuals. And I think perhaps this is a learning curve as well, in order for us to know if we have the proximity or the ability to actually put individual cases, also adding the names of the constituencies that we are providing, because we were trying to also be cautious of the Poppy Act as well. So we will be guided through that going forward. Chairperson, I think one of the things that I also wanted to raise around here would be on an evaluation of service delivery in our constituency areas. So particularly in the constituency areas that I'm coming from. And I think I've submitted this also just recently to our secretary, but I'll be more detailed. I'll refine the document. Where we're having issues of service delivery coming from the previous administration, which was DA-led municipalities. So majority of the townships that fall under our constituency were underserved. So we've got dilapidating infrastructure, we've got lack of service delivery that now requires budget allocation. So I'm going to be speaking about that Secondly, the Tutuzela centers. I wanted to rise on the issue that we do not know where these Tutuzela centers are. And perhaps this will also greatly assist from the department and CGE if we can be provided with the geographical location of the Tutuzela centers in the townships, in the communities, and if it is necessary for them to actually extend their services. In my constituency, one of my constituencies, we know that there's only one victim victim empowerment resource center, but that is utilized to service over 200 and something thousand people, and that does not make sense. So that's one of the things that I also wanted to put forward. But most importantly, it was based on service delivery that speaks to water and sanitation, electricity, grant services, but also looking at the high rates of persons with disabilities that are living in those communities who are unable to get basic services such as medical health care directly to the doorstep. So I just wanted to rise on that. Also, Chairperson, if you can also guide us so that we know going forward if we can bring people to come and present before the portfolio committee, because my understanding was that we would then make presentations or submissions and then they would be consolidated. So if I can be guided on that so that we know what the order of the day is going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Whip. Yes, like I've said, today is our first day dealing with constituency issues. So as we go along, we will further refine how we deal with them. For now, we know that we will consolidate everything into one document, which Mr. Dumizweni will keep for us. So honourable members are able to still deposit issues. And then we will refer them now. In this meeting, we've got Mr. Koza and Ms. Mpondo here representing the Minister and Deputy Minister. They will then take it back to the department and see how or which person is then assigned as the lead person to deal with our issues. And as Mvaba had indicated, they'll come back at the end of this term to give us feedback on the issues. I've allowed Honourable Kanile to bring someone to make a presentation to us today, and I will extend that to all honourable members in future meetings. I think when we do hear from people firsthand, it's important, and it gives us further insight into issues. So it's definitely something that I will be extending to all honourable members going forward. But please just be patient with us for this first meeting, because we are, as I said, we will obviously develop this model of how we deal with these issues as we go along. I see the hand of Honourable Biko.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and apologies, members. I just wanted to correct something there. When Mr. Dumezweni was reporting regarding Mrs. Chwambi, he wrote there that he is 40-year-old. And he is not, he is 70, but the 40-year-old is the period when she was a teacher. Otherwise, she is 70. The 40-year-old that is appearing there is not her actual age. It is the period when he was a teacher. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Biko. I'm going to hand over to you, Ms. Honourable Kanile. You will have 15 minutes to deal with your item.
Greetings, Chair, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you for this great chance that you're giving us to raise issues from our constituency. Before I hand over to Ms. Mbulu from my constituency, I just would like to remind you and Mr. Dumezweni that we still have that outstanding matter of the group of ladies that are living with various disabilities that have requested land that they would want to work on. I remember your office has written a letter to the department, and the department has written to the land reform, and we referred the matter in January, and up until now, we have not received any feedback from them. So I'll appreciate it if we can follow up on that matter. With that being said, Chair, I would like to hand over to Ms. Mbulu to carry on with her presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honourable Kanile. Just resend that email to Mr. Dumizweni, even though we've written to the minister and it's been a matter that has been taking a long time. Just forward that email again to him with the dates of when you first raised the issue so that we capture it in the document.
I'll do that,
Okay.
Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Greetings, honorable members of the committee, the chairperson, and other members. I'd like to thank Honorable Kanyile for bringing us on board. I'm not alone today. I am accompanied by one of my colleagues, Peter Ndo, who will be projecting the presentation. And also, I believe Gavin Obehot is here as an interpreter because we represent a community that is visual, and that is the deaf community. Peter, if you can project the presentation, but I will proceed just for the benefit of committee members. We did submit this presentation on the 22nd of September, and I would like to believe that members have had the opportunity to look at it. For introduction, my name is Uyanda Sibi. I'm also known as Uyanda Mbuli. I'm the global advocate for the South African National Deaf Association, but also I represent the 4.4 million deaf people of South Africa. And I look after social justice, deaf rights, and inclusion. And I am a candidate of Master of Philosophy in Corporate Strategy at GIBS, where I look at different interventions that can ensure that we deal with deaf unemployment, safety standards, and overall inclusion within the South African GDP. Peter, if we can move to page 4. Following the adoption of our South African Sign Language, there's still a lot of, Peter, you've moved halfway. You need to go down to the 85% deaf South Africans. So we've done research in terms of, you can move up a bit, Peter. You moved further. Just look there. Thank you. So basically what we are having or experiencing within our 4.4 million deaf community is that they are seen as unemployable. And this is because of the systemic ways which policies are set out. One of the key critical areas that are giving us challenges is the South African Bureau of Standards. When you look at employment across the board in different industries, you would realize that there's certain industries like mining, industries like construction, which don't even take on the deaf community because of the SABS. The SABS has safety protocols. If you move to the next slide, Peter, that talks about the gaps. When you talk fire and you talk evacuation, the deaf community is not included in those policies. Why? Because those policies are based on sound, which is your sirens, alarms. If a deaf person is in a mall and a fire erupts and there's evacuation, what then happens is that the deaf community will not hear the siren go off. So they are left to deal with chaos and, whatever is happening, they don't even know where to go because no one is explaining anything to them. So those sirens go off, deaf community does not hear these sirens, and then now they see people running around, but they don't even know where they need to run. That's how exclusive these policies are. And it goes further because these industries are not able to take them on because what they rely on as safety standards does not accommodate them. This leaves us with 85% unemployment. We've done a lot of interventions within the deaf community. VETS has graduates, those deaf people that have gone from matric to have degrees, others have honors, others even have gone further than that. And yet still they're unemployable because of these safety standards, because these companies are not able to bypass the regulatory framework, which then requires that Parliament has got to make an intervention. And that's one of the reasons we came to this committee, for us to understand that our people are left with chaos during these difficult times. And we are not able to get them the necessary employment based on these type of regulations. And the regulations that we're talking about, we are talking about sense, 23601, which is escape and evacuation plans, SENS 10135, which is the fire detection and alarm systems. I have dealt with a number of things that we are doing in terms of ensuring that people understand that disability is economic infrastructure. I am privileged through my constituency to be part of the World Economic Forum's Valuable 500 Companies, where we are writing different white papers to show people that the disability sector actually accounts for over trillions of dollars in terms of assistive technology. Even the very spectacles that I'm wearing is assistive technology for someone like me to be able to see. So that's how big this industry is in terms of economic infrastructure. So we have gone back into academia to unpack, to write papers, to ensure that there is enough information to make the necessary interventions that will ensure that these exclusion gaps are closed. And that's one of the reasons we came here to say, we are sitting with a community that is not only systemically excluded from socioeconomic empowerment and access to opportunities in terms of employment, but there are policies that have ensured that they are completely excluded and left out. I think that's basically the summary. There is a document that will be distributed that shows all the academic information based on research from trade economics, from the World Economic Forum, what we've done through GIBS to really define it to the level where interventions can be done. But as a positive note, we have also reached out to the South African Bureau of Standards. We are having a meeting with them on the 4th of November to also present to them these exclusions. But as oversight, as you know, members, honorable members have got the responsibility of oversight, and it is important for them to have this information, for them to also oversee how government itself in their departments, in every area where they work, those who report to this committee, you're able to question them and find out how they are aligning to ensure that they are creating an enabling environment for the 4.4 million deaf people of South Africa to have economic opportunities, socioeconomic opportunities, and obviously have access to employment. Thank you so much, honorable members. I would like to take questions of clarity if there are.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for that presentation. I think we do share the concerns that you have highlighted, and hopefully the representatives of both the Minister and Deputy Minister have taken note. I think I read a report just recently that suggested that up to 90% of South Africans living with disabilities are not in any job opportunity. So it's definitely a crisis that requires this committee's sustained focus. Can I check if anybody would like to make any inputs, or whether Honourable Kanyile would like to add anything?
Chair, can I come in?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I have been largely covered by Ms. Mbuli with their presentation, and I appreciate the issues that she has brought forward. And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Chair.
Thank you. And you will then also include this issue in this presentation. We will share the presentation with honourable members on our group, but please also just forward this presentation with the issues that have been highlighted to Mr. Ndumizweni so that it can go to the Minister's office. Honourable Chauke Aduenes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and I would really like to appreciate the presentation that was given before us. And I think these are some of the presentations and organizations that are quite instrumental in supporting the work that we do as a portfolio committee, and also supporting the work of the department in ensuring that we're able to identify the shortcomings, the gaps, but also be able to put intervention strategies in place. And I think when you listen to presentations of this nature and organizations who really have conducted the thorough research and conducted the data analysis, the solutions are there and they are tangible. Now it comes to a point, and that's why we have an appreciation that the department is here, for them to say, how do we then take these recommendations that have been given by various organizations and turn them into more tangible. But also at a legislative point, how does the portfolio committee ensure that there are levels of accountability? Chair, I really am appreciative of the work that is being done by DFSA. As one of the organizations I have engaged with other several disabled or disability rights organizations, DPOs across the country, myself being a person with a disability. So I do take a great appreciation. And I think this then goes back also to the issue of unemployment rate amongst persons with disabilities, which is sitting at over 90%, that is not being addressed. And yet we've got a department, we've got agencies, institutions, and the private sector that are not complying with what has been prescribed through the department's legislation and through the Equity Act. And therefore it means there is an onus, or there is a responsibility upon this portfolio committee to really conduct a thorough investigation and an insight on whether departments are complying, whether they are meeting their targets, and why are they unable to. And also for us to really draw an intervention strategy coming from those civil rights organizations that really understand the true nature and heartbeat of what the lived realities are of people on the ground. So I would just really like to appreciate that, and I hope the department is listening, because it does play an instrumental role of not only administratively, but playing an oversight role over all departments and legislations when it comes to equity, inclusion, and transformation for persons with disabilities. And this should be part of their priorities, to ensure how do we ensure that the open labor market is accessible and inclusive. How do we ensure that we do not have children with disabilities who are excluded because of their various impairments? How do we ensure that the private sector is compliant and they are not just subjected to paying fines year after year, but there needs to be more regulation put in place that really enforces the transformation and inclusion agenda that is put before us. So thank you very much also to Honorable Kanyile and also to the organization for this presentation. And I think further engagements will continue to take place until we achieve our ultimate goal and agenda. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chauke Aduenes. Can I see if there are any further hands? Are there any closing remarks from your side to the presenters?
Yes, from my side, I would like to appeal to all the political parties, because we represent the entirety of the deaf community. We are not just represent a certain segment. That when it comes to matters of disability, political parties have got to come together and work together for a solution. As you did state, that the overall unemployment within our sector is 90%. And surely if there are no key instrumental interventions and economic pathways whereby different organizations through the Triple P, we are also defining through academia a Triple P plus, to say we're looking at the public, private, and philanthropic partnerships, because the philanthropy has got a budget and they do have money. But once you bring in disability, they are able then to come back to the conversation of the private and public partnerships. So it makes it a Triple P plus. We are defining it economically, we are defining it academically, we are creating different pathways as infrastructure that can be looked at. Myself, I'm also writing a white paper to introduce South African Sign Language in early childhood education from grade R to grade 3, creating teachers' pathways in terms of opportunities for employment, also creating TVET colleges interventions whereby we can even train people that are not disabled but able to teach South African Sign Language as an infrastructure. Afrikaans is infrastructure, Zulu is infrastructure, Swati is infrastructure, Xhosa is infrastructure, Pedi is infrastructure. All these languages have been elevated to a level where we can develop cognitive development across the board using bilingualism. but we are not doing that for the South African deaf community. And that is something that I believe all members from all political parties have to voice their input in different opportunities in Parliament, in the portfolio committee, wherever they are in their constituencies, so that we can work together and bring about this difference that the disabled sector needs so much. Thank you so much. That is my closing.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chaka Adonis, is that a legacy hand?
No, Chair, it's not a legacy hand, and apologies for coming after we've received our closing remarks. I just wanted to bring to the attention of honorable members and also of the organization DEFSA as well, that I am on a pathway of engaging with various stakeholders within the legislators for us to ensure that we institutionalize disability parliament that must take place not only nationally, but must take place also in local government. And it must be something that we're doing annually. So they must also be part of that integration of ensuring that the voices of persons with disabilities find expression within legislation. So that's one of the things that I'm currently working on, and through the Speaker's office and other legislations across the 9 provinces to institutionalize disability parliament. Thank you very much, Chair.
Through you, Chair.
Yes,
I'm not
ma'am.
sure. I'd like to add the fact that I'm from the South African National Deaf Association, which is SANDA. We have different deaf organizations. We do have Deaf SA in our midst. We do have SANDA. We do have EDEF that focuses on, interventions around employment. There are different organizations within the deaf community, but I also stand alone. That's why I'm able to work with my honorable constituency within the Democratic Alliance, whereby we're looking for interventions where we can bring a collective. So we're not necessarily talking as Deaf SA or as the SANDA, South African National Deaf Association. I think we need to find a way, especially through your leadership members, that when we talk disability, we include everybody. We don't necessarily just speak of one organization, because no organization can access all the people at large as an independent organization. We need to find a way how we unify all the different players and be able to make a difference as a collective. That is just my appeal to members, because I do not represent Deaf SA, but I acknowledge the role played by Deaf SA, and it is a very important role. Just member is always referring to me as part of Deaf SA. I'm more SANDA, but I'm also independent. I'm able to speak to Deaf SA, to the World Economic Forum. I lead different public-private partnerships with members of the ANC, members of the DA, members of any other political party that wants to play a role. I've dealt with IFP, and I think for me, when it comes to disability, the segregation becomes also a critical exclusion point. So we need to just bring everybody together as part of our reform as we deal with this 90% unemployment, because it's really creating a systemic gap, especially amongst the youth who are not players within these bigger organizations, but they are looking for opportunities of employment. Thank you so much. That's all from me, members.
Thank you so much. Yes, Honorable Chaka Adonis.
Apologies. I just wanted to apologize and appreciate the point of correction. I do sincerely apologize for that misinterpretation, and I do appreciate that she is coming as an independent who works with various stakeholders. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Whip. Colleagues, let me take this opportunity then to thank the South African National Deaf Association. We want to thank Honorable Kanile for bringing the matter to us. Honorable members, thank you very much for your inputs in terms of your constituency issues. This is really our first attempt at it, and we will obviously improve the system as we go along. I just want to say on the issues that have been raised in the last presentation, ma'am, I can say as a portfolio committee, we are very passionate about the rights of persons with disabilities. And we do believe that when it comes to this portfolio committee, where it comes to issues of women, youth, and persons with disabilities, we don't see our political parties first. We see the issues of these constituencies first. And to that end, I think we do agree with you that a 90% unemployment rate amongst this constituency is a national crisis that requires much greater sustained focus and intervention from this portfolio committee. We've got a very packed program for the rest of the year, but I think when we come back in the next year, in 2026, definitely we will have to put greater focus on persons with disabilities, the various aspects that we need to address. For example, one issue, when we talk about an unemployment crisis amongst persons with disabilities, the fact then that many government departments don't even employ the minimum of 2% of persons with disabilities does really require us to do more work to hold those government departments accountable, just as a start. But colleagues, then let me say thank you to Mr. Koza, Ms. Mpondo. I hope you will engage with your leadership at the department to ensure that we find an avenue of how we can refer these matters to you. And we will check back with you with progress when we meet at the end of November or beginning of December. Colleagues, I want to say thank you for your inputs on the BRRR and for staying. We finished a little bit earlier. But we will then meet in Johannesburg as we start the important work of doing the statutory rape inquiry and stakeholder engagement on behalf of Parliament, the Speaker, and other portfolio committees. We will, closer to the time, as I said, share all the documents so that you are prepared for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then, of course, Monday and Tuesday when we go to East London. Colleagues, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Ms. Abrams, to Ms. Silly, Mr. Dumizweni, Ms. Levendal, and Ms. Matthews. Thank you for your support always. Thank you, colleagues. This meeting is then adjourned.
Long live the chair.
Long live the whip.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
colleagues.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Pulwane.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mhlonishwa Mchunu.